Marcus Chun pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the storage room. His heart was beating fast, but his breathing stayed calm. After 12 years of running, he knew how to stay quiet when people were hunting him. Heavy footsteps walked past the door. The aliens were getting closer. Marcus could hear them talking in their strange, clicking language. He understood enough to know they were angry. Very angry. "The human went this way," one of them said. "Check every room." Marcus looked at his old watch. The cargo ship would leave in 10 minutes. If he missed it, he would be stuck on this mining planet with no way out. The bounty hunters would catch him for sure. He touched the small device hidden under his shirt. It was warm against his skin. The thing had been with him for 12 years, and it was the reason everyone wanted him dead or alive. But they did not know what it really was. They thought he stole some weapons or military secrets. They had no idea what he was really carrying. The footsteps moved away. Marcus counted to 30, then opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty, but he could hear voices from the other end of the building. The hunters were still looking for him. Marcus had been Marcus Chun of the Human Defense Corps once. That was before everything went wrong. Before the court trial that destroyed his life. Before he became a wanted man. He moved quickly through the dark hallways. The mining station was old and dirty. Perfect for someone who needed to stay hidden. He had been working here for 3 weeks, using a fake name and false papers. It was supposed to be safe, but somehow they found him again. They always found him. Marcus reached the loading dock where the cargo ship was waiting. The captain was a Rigelian with blue skin and 4 arms. He did not ask questions as long as people paid him. Marcus had already given him half the money. The rest would come when they reached the next planet. "You are late," the captain said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Sorry, I had to finish some business," Marcus replied. The captain looked at him with his large black eyes. "Business that involves Zephyrian hunters?" Marcus stopped walking. "What do you know about hunters?" "I know they offered me a lot of money to tell them when you showed up." The captain crossed all 4 of his arms. "Lucky for you, I already took your money first." Marcus relaxed a little. In his world, money was the only loyalty that mattered. "When do we leave?" "Now." The ship lifted off just as the hunters burst into the loading area. Through the small window, Marcus could see them pointing up at the ship. One of them, a tall female with purple markings on her face, was shouting orders. Marcus knew her. Commander Vexaha. She had been chasing him for 5 years. As the ship climbed into space, Marcus sat in his small cabin and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, something terrible was waiting. Something that made his chest feel cold with fear. His communication device beeped. Marcus looked at the screen and froze. The message was coming through on an old military frequency. A frequency that was supposed to be dead. "This is Admiral Torres to any Human Defense Corps personnel. Emergency code 7. Respond immediately." Marcus stared at the message. Admiral Torres had been his commanding officer 12 years ago. The man who had stood by him during the trial. The man who knew the truth about what really happened at Kepler-442. Marcus turned on his transmitter. "This is Chun. I read you, Admiral." The response came quickly. "Marcus, thank God you are alive. I need you to listen carefully. The outer colonies are going dark. 3 systems in the past month. No signals, no survivors. Just empty space where planets used to be." Marcus felt his blood turn cold. How empty? Completely empty. Not destroyed. Gone. Like something ate them. Marcus closed his eyes. He had been afraid this day would come. For 12 years, he had carried the warning. For 12 years, no one had listened. They were too busy hunting him to pay attention to what he was trying to tell them. "Admiral, You need to evacuate the rim colonies. All of them. Right now. Marcus, what do you know about this? Everything. Marcus touched the device under his shirt again. I know everything about them. But nobody wanted to listen. Who are they? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. We call them devourers. They eat everything that lives. Planets, animals, people, everything. And they are coming back. Back? Marcus, what happened at Kepler 442? We found them first. My unit was doing a routine patrol past the outer rim. We thought we found a derelict ship. We were wrong. It was a scout vessel. When we got close, they took over our systems. Consumed half my team before we could fight back. The report said you disobeyed orders and attacked a civilian vessel. Because that is what we told them to put in the report. The truth was too scary. You remember what happened when we tried to tell command what we really found. Admiral Torres was quiet. Marcus could imagine him remembering. The disbelief. The laughter. The anger when they insisted their story was real. They court-martialed you to keep you quiet, the Admiral said finally. And I let them. Because I thought they would listen when they were ready. I thought I could wait. Marcus looked out at the stars again. I was wrong. They are here now, and nobody is prepared. What do we do? You evacuate everyone you can from the rim. I will try to get to the core worlds with the data. Maybe someone will listen now the planets are disappearing. Marcus, they still want to arrest you. Every government in the Alliance has a bounty on your head. Then I guess I better stay ahead of them. Marcus turned off the transmitter and leaned back in his chair. Outside his window, the stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere among them, an ancient hunger was waking up. And Marcus Chen, the man everyone thought was a traitor, was the only one who knew how to fight it. The ship jumped into hyperspace, carrying him toward an uncertain future. Behind them, in the empty space between stars, something vast and terrible began to move. 3 days later, Marcus was trapped. The space station hung in orbit around a gas giant, spinning slowly in the purple light of a dying star. It was supposed to be neutral territory, but neutrality meant nothing when the bounty on your head could buy a small planet. Marcus sat in the crowded bar, pretending to drink his beer while watching the security monitors above the counter. Zephyrian soldiers were checking every ship that tried to leave. More were searching the station level by level. Commander Vexa was here. Marcus had seen her purple-marked face on the security feeds. She moved like a predator, confident and deadly. This time, she had brought help. Altarian troops with their silver armor and energy weapons. Cathari assassins with their silent steps and poison claws. They all wanted him. You look nervous, friend, said the bartender. He was a Centaurian with gray skin and too many eyes. Something wrong? Just thinking about old times, Marcus replied. He was thinking about Kepler 442, about his squad, about the day everything changed. The memory came back to him like a punch to the stomach. 12 years ago, Sergeant Marcus Chun and his reconnaissance team had been patrolling the edge of known space. Their job was simple. Look for pirates, check on remote colonies, and report back if anything seemed strange. They found something strange. The ship looked dead when they first spotted it. Long and black, shaped like an insect. No power signatures, no life signs, no response to radio calls. Just floating in the dark between stars. Looks like a derelict, said Private Rodriguez. She was young then, excited to find something interesting on what was supposed to be a boring mission. Run a full scan, Marcus had ordered. Check for survivors. The scan showed something impossible. The ship was huge, maybe 10 kilometers long, but it was not made of metal. It was made of something that looked like bone and flesh grown together. The hull was covered in strange patterns that seemed to move when you were not looking directly at them. "Sir, are you seeing this?" asked Corporal Kim. His voice was shaking. "The ship. It is alive." Marcus looked at the readings. The ship had no engines, but it was moving. Slowly, like something breathing. The whole temperature was exactly the same as a human body. "We should call for backup," said Rodriguez. Marcus shook his head. "Command is 3 days away. If there are survivors, they might not have 3 days." They docked their small scout ship to an airlock on the creature's side. The moment the connection was made, everything changed. The alien ship woke up. Lights ran along the walls like blood through veins. The floor started to pulse under their feet, and something began to whisper in their heads, speaking words they could not understand but somehow knew were terrible. "Fall back to the ship," Marcus shouted, but it was too late. The airlock sealed behind them. Their scout ship detached and flew away, controlled by something else. On the monitor, Marcus watched their vessel turn its guns toward them. "It is in our computers," Kim said. "The thing took over our ship." The walls around them started to change. What looked like metal began to twist and grow. Tubes and wires pushed out of the surface like roots. The whispers got louder. Rodriguez screamed first. She was standing too close to the wall when it opened up and grabbed her with arms made of living metal. Marcus watched in horror as she was pulled inside, her body changing as alien machines burrowed into her skin. When she came back out, she was not Rodriguez anymore. "Why do you resist?" she asked, but her voice was wrong. Too many voices speaking together. "Join us. Become part of something greater." Kim fired his weapon at her. The energy blast burned through her chest, but she kept walking toward them. Black liquid poured from the wound, hardening into new armor. "Run," Marcus whispered to the rest of his team. They ran through corridors that changed around them. Walls moved like they were alive. The floor tried to grab their feet. And everywhere, the whispers promised them peace if they would just stop fighting. Marcus lost 2 more people in the maze of living metal. Jenkins fell into a pit that opened under his feet. Thompson was caught by cables that came down from the ceiling. Marcus could hear them screaming as the machines worked on them, changing them. Only Marcus and Kim made it to what looked like the ship's bridge. The room was filled with tanks of green liquid. Inside each tank was something that had once been a person. Humans, Zephyrians, Altarians, species Marcus did not recognize. All of them were connected to machines by tubes and wires. All of them were awake. "They are still conscious," Kim said. His face was white with shock. "It keeps them awake while it changes them." In the center of the room was a creature that Marcus would see in his nightmares for years to come. It had been human once, maybe. Now it was a mixture of flesh and machine, connected to every tank by thick cables. Its eyes were human, but they held the intelligence of something vast and hungry. "You have seen our work," it said. Its voice was the whispers made loud. "Now you will join it." Marcus and Kim fought their way out. They used explosives to damage the ship's power systems. In the confusion, they escaped in an emergency pod and jumped to hyperspace. But not before Marcus grabbed something important. The device he now carried had been connected to the creature's brain. It contained everything the Devourers knew about their own weaknesses, their plans, their methods. The location of their main fleet. Marcus had spent 12 years trying to tell people about the threat. Instead, they accused him of attacking a civilian ship and stealing military technology. They said he was crazy, dangerous, a traitor. Now the Devourers were back, and nobody was ready. "Attention station residents," said a voice over the speakers. "This is Commander Vasa of the Zephyrian fleet. We're looking for a human fugitive. Anyone who provides information will be rewarded." Marcus finished his beer and stood up. The time for hiding was over. He needed to get to the core worlds, and the only way through was forward. He walked toward the security checkpoint where Vexaha was questioning travelers. She looked up as he approached, her purple eyes widening with surprise. "Marcus-chan," she said. "Finally tired of running?" "No," Marcus replied. "Tired of waiting for you to catch up." He raised his hands in surrender, but his finger was already pressing the hidden button on his belt. The device under his shirt began to emit a signal that would be picked up by every ship in the system. A warning signal in the old Hume Defense Corps' emergency code. The Devourers were coming, and humanity needed to know. Commander Vesaha stared at Marcus through the energy bars of his cell. Her purple face markings seemed darker in the dim light of the prison ship. 12 years, she said. 12 years I've been hunting you across the galaxy. Do you know what that has cost me? Marcus sat on the metal bench, his hands bound with energy cuffs. Your career? Your family? Your sanity? All of those. Vexaha's voice was bitter. My superiors think I am obsessed. My family thinks I am crazy. But I know what you did at Kepler 442. Do you? Marcus looked up at her. Tell me what you think you know. You attacked a civilian research vessel, killed 43 beings, stole classified technology. Vexaha counted on her fingers. Started a war between 3 species. Marcus almost laughed. A civilian research vessel. Is that what they told you? That is what the evidence shows. The evidence was fake. Marcus stood up and walked to the energy bars. Commander, what do you know about the Outer Rim colonies that have gone missing? Vexaha's eyes narrowed. Nothing is missing. Some colonies have lost contact. Pirate attacks, equipment failures, natural disasters. 17 systems in the past 6 months. Completely empty. No survivors, no debris, no sign of what happened to them. Marcus grabbed the energy bars, ignoring the pain that shot through his hands. When was the last time pirates could make an entire planet disappear? You are trying to confuse me with lies. I am trying to save your life. The ship shuddered around them. Vexaha looked up at the ceiling with concern. The lights flickered, and alarms began to sound in the distance. What was that? She asked. Marcus felt the device under his shirt grow warm against his skin. Very warm. He had felt this before, 12 years ago. Commander, you need to release me right now. I am not falling for your tricks. The ship shuddered again, harder this time. The lights went out completely, leaving them in darkness. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Captain Dex's voice came over the intercom. He was an Altarian with silver skin and a calm voice that never showed emotion. Today, he sounded afraid. All crew to battle stations. Unknown vessels approaching. Weapons online. Marcus heard the familiar sound of the ship's defense systems activating. Energy weapons charging. Shield generators humming to life. Commander, he said quietly. How many ships in your task force? 7, Vexaha replied. She was listening to her communicator, getting reports from her officers. How many ships are attacking us? Vexaha was silent for a moment. Then, sensors show 1. 1 ship against 7 of yours? It must be a mistake. But Vexaha's voice was uncertain now. The ship shook violently. The sound of weapons fire echoed through the hull, but it was wrong somehow. Not the sharp crack of energy weapons, but something organic, wet. Commander Vexaha to the bridge, came the announcement. Emergency. Vexaha looked at Marcus through the energy bars. He could see the doubt in her purple eyes. Let me out, he said. Please, why should I trust you? Because in about 5 minutes, your crew is going to start screaming. Vexaha stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned off the energy bars and unlocked his cuffs. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and flashing lights. Other prisoners had been released from their cells by the emergency system, but they were not trying to escape. They were hiding. Marcus and Vexaha reached the bridge. Just as the main screen showed their attacker, it was a Devourer ship. The thing was twice the size of their largest vessel, black as space itself, covered in the same bone and flesh patterns Marcus remembered from his nightmares. It moved through space like a living creature, bending and flexing as it chased their ships. "Fire all weapons," Captain Dex ordered. The task force's energy beams hit the alien ship and did nothing. The creature absorbed the attacks like they were sunlight, its hull glowing brighter with each hit. "Shield are failing," reported the weapons officer. "The enemy is not using conventional weapons." Marcus stepped forward. "Captain, with respect, you need to run. Right now." Dex turned to look at him. His silver face was confused. "Who is this human?" "This is Marcus Chun," Vexaha said. "Our prisoner. The war criminal? Why is he not in his cell?" "Because he knows what that thing is," Vexaha said quietly. On the screen, the Devourer ship extended long tentacles of living metal. They reached out and grabbed one of the task force vessels, a Zephyrian destroyer. The tentacles cut through the ship's hull like it was paper. Marcus watched the crew's life signs disappear from the sensors. But they did not die quickly. The signs faded slowly, one by one, as something worked on them. "They are being changed," he said. "Converted. Made into part of the collective." "What collective?" Dex demanded. "The Devourer hive mind. They do not just kill people. They absorb them. Their knowledge, their memories, their personalities. Everything becomes part of the whole." Another ship died. This time, they could hear the screams over the radio before the transmission cut out. "How do we fight them?" Vexaha asked Marcus, touched the device under his shirt. It was burning hot now, reacting to the alien presence. "You cannot fight them with normal weapons. They adapt to everything you throw at them. Energy weapons just make them stronger. Then what do? We run, and we warn everyone else." Captain Dex shook his head. "I will not retreat from one enemy vessel. I will not retreat from one enemy vessel." The Devourer ship turned toward them. On the main screen, they could see openings appear in its hull. Not weapon ports, but mouths. Things that looked like teeth and tongues and digestive systems. "Captain," said the sensor operator, "the enemy ship is launching something. Thousands of small objects." Marcus knew what they were. "Boarding pods. They are going to try to take this ship. Our shields will stop them." "No," Marcus said. "They will not." The boarding pods hit their shields and passed through like the energy barrier was not there. They stuck to the hull and began to burn through it with acid. "All hands, prepare to repel boarders," Dex announced. Marcus grabbed Vexaha's arm. "Commander, I need you to trust me." "Can you do that?" Vexaha looked at the chaos on the bridge. Her ships were dying. Her crew was about to be overwhelmed by an enemy they could not understand. "What do you need?" she asked. "Access to your ship's communication array. I have to send a message." "To who?" "To everyone. The entire galaxy needs to know what is coming." Vexaha nodded and led him to the communication station. As Marcus worked to send his warning, he could hear the sounds of battle in the corridors. Energy weapons firing, people shouting, things that made wet tearing sounds. The message went out on every frequency Marcus could access. Military channels, civilian networks, emergency broadcasts. The same message repeated over and over. "This is Marcus Chun, former sergeant of the Human Defense Corps. The Devourers have returned. Evacuate the Outer Rim immediately. Conventional weapons are useless. They adapt to everything. This is not a drill." Behind him, something broke through the bridge doors. Marcus turned and saw his worst nightmare come to life. The thing had been a Zephyrian soldier once. Now it was a mixture of alien flesh and living machinery, its purple skin replaced with black metal that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its eyes glowed with an intelligence that was not its own. Join us, it said with a voice like grinding metal. Become perfect? Marcus stepped in front of Vex'ahah. For the first time in 12 years, he was not running away. Marcus pulled the device from under his shirt and held it toward the converted Zephyrian soldier. The small machine hummed with energy, and the creature stopped moving. What is that? Vex'ahah asked. Something I took from them 12 years ago. It confuses their connection to the hive mind. Marcus kept the device pointed at the monster. But it only works for a few minutes. The converted soldier shook its head like it was trying to wake up from a dream. For a moment, Marcus could see the original person fighting to get back control. Kill me, it whispered. Please. Captain Dex fired his sidearm. The energy blast destroyed what was left of the soldier's head. We need to leave, Marcus said. Now, they fought their way through corridors filled with smoke and death. The Devourers had taken most of the ship, but a few crew members were still fighting. Marcus led them using paths that avoided the worst of the invasion. How do you know where they are? Vex'ahah asked as they climbed through a maintenance shaft. The device tells me. It can sense them. Marcus helped pull her up to the next level. They think differently than us. More direct. They always take the shortest path. They reached the escape pods just as ship's power systems failed. Through the small windows, they could see the Devourer vessel feeding on the hull of their ship, sucking out metal and energy like a giant parasite. 27 survivors. Captain Dex reported as they loaded into 3 escape pods. Out of 400 crew members. Marcus programmed their destination into the navigation system. We are going to the Galactic capital. The Alliance Council needs to see this. They will not believe us, Vex'ahah said. Not without proof. Marcus looked back at the dying ships. I think we will have plenty of proof soon. The journey to the capital world of Centaurus Prime took 6 days in the small escape pods. During that time, Marcus shared everything he knew about the Devourers with Vex'ahah and Dex. They are not just invaders, he explained. They are harvesters. They take everything useful from a species and add it to their collective. Knowledge, technology, biological advantages. How long have they been doing this? Dax asked. Thousands of years. Maybe millions. They move from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything, then moving on when there is nothing left. Why did they leave the first time? Marcus was quiet for a moment. I think they did not leave. I think they were driven away. By who? I do not know. But whoever it was, they are not here anymore. When they reached Centaurus Prime, Marcus was arrested immediately. The planet's security forces had been waiting for him. His emergency broadcasts had been received. But the Alliance Council saw them as the desperate lies of a war criminal. The human will be tried for his crimes, announced Councillor Drex High of the Altarian Federation. He was old and proud, with silver hair and a kind of voice that expected to be obeyed. His terrorist attacks on our shipping lanes end today. Marcus stood in chains before the council, surrounded by representatives from 30 different species. Behind him sat Vex'ahah and Dex, the only witnesses to what had really happened. Councilors, I am telling you the truth, Marcus said. The Devourer fleet is coming. My intelligence indicates they have already consumed the entire outer rim. 16 systems gone completely. 16 systems with communication problems. Corrected Councillor Yuthar of the Zephyrian Empire. Caused by solar storm activity and equipment failures. Solar storms do not make planets disappear. Planets do not disappear, Drexhigh said firmly. This council deals in facts, not fantasy. Marcus felt like screaming. These people were so sure they knew everything, so certain that their technology and their fleets could protect them. They had no idea what was coming. Councilors, Vex'ahah stood up. I have been hunting this human for 12 years. I thought he was a terrorist, but I was on the ship when the Devourers attacked. I saw what they can do. Commander Vesaha, you have been relieved of duty pending psychological evaluation, Uthara announced. Your obsession with this human has clearly affected your judgment. Marcus watched his only ally get escorted out of the chamber. Captain X tried to speak, but the council dismissed his testimony as trauma-induced hallucinations. The human will be transferred to a maximum security prison, Drexai declared. This hearing is over. As the guards moved to take him away, Marcus felt the device against his skin grow warm. Then hot. Then burning. The chamber's lights flickered and went out. Emergency power came on just as the building shook. Outside, air raid sirens began to wail across the capital city. What is happening? Demanded Counselor Yithara. A security officer ran into the chamber. Counselors. Unknown ships approaching the planet. Hundreds of them. They are not responding to our signals. Marcus looked up at the ceiling as the building shook again. They are here. The council members rushed to the windows. In the sky above the capital city, dark shapes were falling from orbit. Ships that looked like living things, covered in bone and metal that pulsed with life. Impossible, whispered Drexai. The defense fleet opened fire. Energy weapons and missiles flew toward the alien vessels. The attacks hit their targets and did absolutely nothing. The Devourer ships absorbed the energy and kept coming. They adapt, Marcus said quietly. Every weapon you use teaches them how to defend against it. One of the alien ships landed in the capital square. It opened like a flower, revealing rows of converted beings from dozens of species. Humans, Zephyrians, Altarians, things Marcus did not recognize. Join us, they said in perfect unison. Become perfect. The Alliance troops opened fire. Their weapons killed some of the converted beings, but others adapted, their bodies changing to resist the attacks. New armor grew from their skin. Energy shields appeared around them. Take off these chains, Marcus said to the guards. You are still a prisoner, one of them replied. Look outside. Marcus pointed to the window. Do you really think your prison is going to protect you from that? Counselor Drexai stared at the chaos in the streets below. His silver face had gone completely white. Release him. The chains fell away. Marcus rubbed his wrists and walked to the communication console. What are you doing? Ithara asked, calling for help. Marcus activated every military frequency he could access. This is Marcus Chun to all Human Defense Corps units. Emergency Protocol 7. The Devourers are attacking the capital. Converge on Centaurus Prime immediately. The humans are 3 days away, Drexai said. I know. Marcus watched more alien ships landing in the city. We have to hold out until they get here. Why the humans? What makes them special? Marcus turned to face the council. For 12 years, these people had treated humanity like a problem to be managed. A young species that did not understand how the galaxy really worked. Because humans do not think like you do, he said. We are unpredictable, chaotic. We do things that do not make sense to a logical mind. How does that help us? The Devourers have a hive mind. They think as one collective intelligence. They can predict logical behavior, adapt to standard tactics. Marcus smiled grimly. But they cannot predict crazy. Outside, the converted beings were overwhelming the defense forces. Their superior numbers and adaptability made conventional resistance hopeless. I am taking command of the defense, Marcus announced. You have no authority here. Uthara protested. I have the only authority that matters right now. I know how to fight them. Marcus activated the city's emergency broadcast system. His voice went out to every surviving defender on the planet. This is Marcus Chun. The enemy you are fighting is called the Devourers. Do not use energy weapons. Do not fight in formation. Do not follow standard tactics. Be random. Be unpredictable. Use explosives, projectile weapons, anything that causes physical damage they cannot absorb. On the screens around the chamber, Marcus could see the effect of his words. The desperate defenders stopped trying to fight like soldiers and started fighting like survivors. They used construction equipment as weapons, collapsed buildings on their enemies, set fires in random patterns. The Devourer advance slowed. "It is working," Dex said with amazement. Marcus nodded, but his expression stayed grim. "This is just the beginning. When their main fleet arrives, nothing we do here will matter." Through the windows, they could see more ships arriving in orbit. Bigger ships. The real invasion force. Marcus touched the device under his shirt. It was so hot now that it was burning his skin. But he could feel something else through it. A connection to the alien hive mind. He knew what he had to do. And he knew it would probably kill him. The massive Devourer command ship blocked out the sun as it descended toward the capital city. It was the size of a small moon, covered in millions of openings that pulsed like breathing holes. From each opening, smaller vessels poured out like insects from a nest. Marcus stood on the roof of the council building, watching the sky fill with enemies. The device he had carried for 12 years was so hot against his chest that it was burning through his shirt. "The human fleet will not arrive for another day," reported Captain Dex. "We cannot hold that long." "Yes, we can," Marcus said. But he was not looking at the enemy ships. He was looking at the pattern of their movement. Commander Vexaha climbed onto the roof beside him. She had been released when the invasion started. Even the Alliance Council could see they needed every fighter they could get. "The defense lines are failing," she said. "The converted beings are learning our tactics too quickly. Every time we find something that works, they adapt to counter it." Marcus nodded. He had expected this. The Devourers learned from every encounter, adding new knowledge to their collective mind. Soon they would know everything the defenders could do. "Commander, I need you to get me to that ship." Marcus pointed at the massive command vessel hanging in the sky. "That is suicide." "Maybe, but it is also the only way to stop them." Marcus pulled the device from under his shirt. After 12 years of hiding it, the small machine looked unremarkable. Just a gray rectangle covered in alien symbols. "This is not just a detector," he explained. "It is a weapon. A neural disruptor designed to break the connection between individual devourers and their hive mind." "How do you know this?" "Because I have been studying it for 12 years. Learning how it works. Figuring out how to make it stronger." Marcus looked at the burns on his chest where the device had been touching his skin. "The problem is, to affect their entire fleet, someone has to connect it directly to their central command system." "Connect it how?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Neural interface. Direct brain-to-brain contact with their command intelligence." Vexaha stared at him. "That will kill you." "Probably. But if I can disrupt their hive mind for even a few minutes, your conventional weapons will work. They will not be able to coordinate their defenses or adapt in real time." On the street below, the sound of fighting was getting closer. The Devourer forces were pushing through the last defense lines. Soon they would overrun the government district. "How do we get you to their ship?" Dex asked. Marcus smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in years. "We do something stupid." An hour later, Marcus was strapped into the pilot seat of a damaged fighter craft. The ship could barely fly, its engines sputtering and its shields offline. To any observer, it looked like a desperate escape attempt, which was exactly what Marcus wanted. He flew the crippled fighter toward the Devourer command ship, weaving between the alien vessels that moved to intercept him. They could have destroyed him easily, but they wanted him alive. The humans were still a mystery to them, and they needed to understand what made this species so unpredictable. The fighter was caught in a tractor beam and pulled into one of the command ship's docking bays. Marcus felt the familiar sensation of the Devourer influence trying to enter his mind, but the device protected him. For now, converted beings surrounded his ship as he climbed out. Dozens of species, all linked to the collective consciousness. They moved in perfect coordination, like parts of a single organism. "Marcus Chen," they said in unison. "You have caused us much trouble." "Good," Marcus replied. They led him through corridors that were equal parts machine and living tissue. The walls pulsed with alien heartbeats. The air smelled like copper and ozone. The command chamber was enormous, filled with tanks of green liquid. Inside each tank was a brain. Not just any brains, the command intelligences of every species the Devourers had ever consumed. Thousands of brilliant minds, all connected and controlled by the collective dot in the center of the room, was the original intelligence. The first mind the Devourers had absorbed millions of years ago. It had been human once. "Welcome home," it said to Marcus. Its voice echoed from every speaker in the chamber. Marcus stared at the tank holding the ancient human brain. "You were like me once. I was small and limited like you. Individual. Alone." The intelligence pulsed with satisfaction. "Now, I am part of something infinite. We are offering you the same gift. Why do you need me alive? You could have just taken what you wanted from my corpse. Because you carry something that belongs to us. And because your species interests us. Humans are chaotic, unpredictable. Your minds work in ways we do not understand." Marcus touched the device under his shirt. It was burning like fire now, but he endured the pain. "That chaos is exactly what will destroy you. No, we will absorb it. Learn from it. Become stronger. You can try." Marcus pulled out the device and pressed it against the central command interface. The moment the neural disruptor made contact, everything changed. The effect was immediate and devastating. Every converted being in the chamber collapsed as their connection to the hive mind was severed. The intelligence in the tanks screamed in a dozen different languages. Marcus felt the alien consciousness trying to invade his mind through the connection, but he fought back with every memory he had. His childhood on Earth, his training as a soldier, his friends who had died at Kepler 442, his 12 years of running and hiding and hoping that someone would listen. The chaos of human thought was too much for the collective intelligence. It was used to ordered, logical minds that could be easily absorbed. Marcus's memories and emotions were random, contradictory, impossible to predict or control. "What are you?" The intelligence screamed. "I am human," Marcus replied as the device burned through his nervous system. "We do not make sense. We do not follow rules. We do not give up." The neural feedback was killing him, but it was also working. Through the ship's communication system, Marcus could feel the disruption spreading to the entire fleet. Millions of Devourer ships suddenly found themselves without central coordination. On the planet below, Commander Vexaha watched as the alien vessels stopped moving in formation and began flying into each other. The converted beings on the ground collapsed or started fighting amongst themselves. "All ships, open fire," she ordered. The Alliance fleet, reinforced by arriving human vessels, attacked the confused Devourer forces. Without their hive mind coordination and adaptive abilities, the aliens were just another enemy that could be defeated with conventional weapons. Marcus felt his consciousness fading as the device completed its work. The last thing he saw was the command intelligence breaking apart. Its million-year reign of terror finally ended. But he was not dead. Not yet. 3 days later, Marcus woke up in a medical facility on Centaurus Prime. Half his body was covered in burns from the neural interface, and the doctor said he would need months of treatment. But he was alive. Commander Vexaha was sitting beside his bed. "The fleet is destroyed," she reported. "Every Devour ship in the galaxy. When their command intelligence died, they lost all coordination. Some of them just shut down completely." "What about the converted beings?" "Most died when the connection was severed. A few survived, but they have no memory of their time with the collective." Vexaha paused. "They are free." Marcus tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Everything hurt. "The Alliance Council wants to give you a medal," Vexaha said. "Hero of the galaxy. Savior of known space. That sort of thing." "I just want to go home." "Where's home for you?" Marcus thought about it. For 12 years, he had not had a home. No place he could stay, no people he could trust. He'd been alone with his terrible knowledge. "I guess I will have to figure that out." Vexaha stood up to leave, then turned back. "Marcus, I am sorry. For hunting you. For not believing you. You were doing your job. My job was to protect people. You were the one actually doing that." She straightened her uniform. "The Alliance has offered me command of a new joint task force. Human and alien crews working together. They want you to lead it." Marcus looked out the window at the city below. People from dozens of species were working together to rebuild what the Devourers had damaged. Human engineers were showing alien workers how to think creatively about problems. Alien scientists were learning human intuition. What would this task force do? Explore the galaxy. Make sure nothing like this ever happens again. And learn from each other. Marcus smiled. For the first time in 12 years, he had a purpose that did not involve running or hiding. "When do we start?"